Howdy y'all and welcome back to Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Oh man, I totally forgot. It's 7 Days to Die with no stuff again. I forgot. This game hates me. Alright, let's do some more searching then, I guess. See if we can't. There's a lot of chickens now. I see them all the time. Whoa. Apparently didn't like the church. Yeah, so we did get to play our D&D this week. Uh, it's a you know, you know. If you ever heard me talk about D&D, you know. So we ended the previous week attacking these creatures called hags, and so they're like if you ever seen like Macbeth, where they've got the witches around the cauldron, or something like that, where it's a coven of witches. Basically, hags are like that, and so a single hag, right, is one thing, but a group of hags is called a coven, and there has to be at least like three of them, I think. And so what happens when there's three of them is they get access to. This is gonna kill me. Yep. They get access to extra spells, more powerful spells. So it's easier to take one hag on than a group of hags. We weren't given that choice. We're never given a choice about how we attack something. As soon as you see it, you're in combat with it, and it probably has a surprise round on you. And so, I don't think the hags had a surprise round on us. But I was surprised because I rolled highest in initiative, which is the order in which you take your turns. And so every time you enter combat, you roll, and whoever gets the highest roll gets to go first. And then there are rules to determine, if there are ties, who gets to go before the other one. And so I rolled highest, so I got to go first, which is cool. And so I ran up to the first hag, and I used my last what are they called? I call them sup dice, but this stands for something. So my character is a battle master fighter, and because he's a battle master, he gets access to these extra dice. And so when I use one of his special abilities, you roll the extra dice, and then you determine it adds to your damage, is what happens. So, like, I roll 2 6-sided dice for my weapon, and then you add your strength to it, and because of the way I've rolled my character, I get like a +4, right? And then it's also a magic weapon at this point, and so it also gets a +1 on top of that. So basically, I roll 2 6-sided die, and I add 5 to it. Well, uh, if I use a sup die, then I've done something special with my abilities, and I get to add that damage to the damage that I've done. And um, so I wanted to make sure to take out a hag because I was metagaming and I knew that a group of hags would have extra abilities, and I wanted to knock out one of those hags as fast as I could, right? And so I used a fainting attack, which means that I use my bonus action, and then I roll the die, and then I get advantage on the attack, and if it hits, I get to add that amount to my attack. And so I do that, and then I roll my 2 attacks to see to see if I can hit, and I get a critical hit. So a critical hit means you rolled a 20 on the die. Sometimes you've got abilities or something that lowers that number, so you might get an 18 or higher and get a crit, a critical hit, called a crit. And so what that means is, who knows what that means? Everybody's got different rules for it. I believe the official rule is that you roll your dice damage twice. So, like I do 2d6, I would roll 4d6, and that would be my damage. A lot of people just do double the amount on the dice. Well, I think that I don't have a problem with that. Let's not get crazy here. I'm fine playing with double the dice, roll the dice twice, but I thought that it would be cool if instead of having to roll the dice, that we just take the maximum amount you could get on the dice and add what you rolled to it. Because I mean, it's not usually that big a difference. It's just a couple of points of damage, but it seems cooler for those times when you roll like 2 1s for your damage, right? I could do 12 damage, instead I've done 2 damage, and now because it's a critical hit, I get to double it to 4. Woo, you know? And so we talked about it, and um, I said I think we should switch to this other system where we use the full amount that's on the dice plus what was rolled to determine your damage. And so I did a lot of damage, and because it was 12 and I rolled 2 6s, so it was 24 from that plus 5 from my other weapon stuff. So like uh, my strength and the fact that it's a magic weapon, those don't get doubled. Just the numbers rolled on dice get doubled. And then because I'm a half orc, I also get this ability called Savage Critical, I think it's called, or something like that. And so I get to roll an extra damage die. And this is why people often do uh, like a halberd or something for their main weapon instead of the great sword that I like to use, because then when you get a crit, you get to roll like an extra D10 or D12 depending on your weapon, where I just get to add an extra D6 to it, right? An extra 6-sided dice. So it's cool, whatever. I like the flavor of a great sword better than those other types of weapons, and so I usually play with a great sword and with a fighter. Different classes I like different weapons for. I think I used a mace with my cleric when I played a game as a cleric, and My my thief, I think, went with double rapiers by the time she got the ability to do so, and um, but I tend to lean toward great sword for a fighter. My paladin was a long sword and a shield, pretty much the whole campaign, and I've played a few campaigns now, so I've got a bunch of different characters I've played, and yeah, so it's just flavor. It's just it's a numbers game, and I don't feel that the numbers are that big of a difference. Um, and so I think I've already been here. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Oh, dang it. I just remembered. I should have went to it. Oh, man. I had an airdrop after I finished recording last week. So somewhere out there is the possibility of an airdrop. And I didn't go to it because I wanted to do it on camera, and it didn't happen. Ah, well. Maybe someday we'll run across it out here. It's a weird looking barn over there. So, start rolling up my damage, and I've got 2 6s, and then I add 2 more 6s to that, and that gave me like 12 or 24, and then added 5. Oh no, I figured out that damage wrong. Shoot, I actually did more damage than what I thought I did. So I should have done 24 plus um, 24 plus 5 would be 29, plus 8 would be 35, plus I don't know. Anyways, I calculated it out to be like 43 damage with all the different dice that I rolled. Some of it doesn't get doubled, like my savage attack or whatever, savage critical doesn't get doubled. It's just added to the critical. But then the special sup dice, right, that gets doubled, and so I rolled that, and whatever I got on that got doubled, and so anyways, I did a lot of damage, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what we need to take down a hag as quickly as possible, so they don't have access to their super powerful spells. And then my DM says, you see that she takes damage, but it seems like all the other hags also take damage from your attack. And you realize that any damage you do to a hag is shared across the hags. And I'm like, you cheating bugger. That is not how hags work, and you're only doing that so that your hag doesn't go down and you get to keep your coven of hags. That's not in the rules. And then before that happened, no, I guess it wasn't before that happened, but after that happened, and we finished our fight, even though it was much more difficult than it should have been, and people were paralyzed for a long time and blinded at one point, because they had access to all these spells that they weren't supposed to have their hands on. Uh, and uh, and then we use this thing called hero points, which I've talked about before. Basically, there's I keep saying a lot. Basically, there's a system in place that allows the DM to award gameplay that he likes, and I hate that. I it's not fair to the players, and I understand that things aren't fair, but it's not it's not easy to remember to do or to use, and it's not applied equally. So like I've gotten inspiration because I rolled a critical hit, right? I mean, and then someone else gets inspiration because they thought that the thing they said was funny, and then nobody gets it for 6 weeks. And so I hate inspiration. I think it's a terrible mechanic. Uh, it's just a terrible mechanic that shouldn't be in a game that's based around rules and numbers. A whim based award doesn't work. It just doesn't work in real play that I have seen in the multiple games I've played. Just because you never know when you're going to get it. Sometimes the DM is like, you can only have that for 10 minutes and you got to use it. And, and then you spend the next 10 minutes of gameplay never having any kind of role that you'd want to use it on. And then it just goes away, or stuff like that. And so I suggested that we use hero points. And so basically, a hero point is every level you get a set number of hero points. Uh, and it changes. The higher the level, the longer it takes to get through, the more hero points you get. Um, and so uh, I think I think I think I need to look at the rules again because what he quoted to me was different than I thought how it worked. And so we might have to reduce the number of points we get. Um, but what happens is uh, I don't even know where he read the rules from is the thing because he said that it's a +6 to or not +6. It's a roll of 6-sided dice. Oh right, I don't like that as loot. And and so I figured that we should just re-roll, um, which is actually smaller, basically, than mathematically. Mathematically, a re-roll is like uh, averages out to be like 5 better. So I guess it's slightly better than rolling a d6 because the average on a d6 should be what 3 or 4, and so um, it's like a point better, right? Well, that is too much for my DM. He hates anything that gives us any kind of even little advantage, like I don't know, the ability to carry a weapon. And so he says, I was looking over the rules, and I don't think the system we're using is in the rules. I'm like, and there's a lot of things we do that aren't in the rules. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not too sure about this hero point thing. I think we need to go back and look at that again. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And so he gives me the wherever he read his rules at. I don't know. I have to go look because they're not standard rules. Like we don't need to even have it at all. But he likes to change things after we've been doing them, not because it makes the game like we don't use the hero points all the time. It's not like it's a constant thing, and but he got mad last night because, well, he cheated and he changed the way hags work. I mean, he didn't cheat, all right. He can make those changes if he wants to, but I don't think you can make changes to the way something works according to the rules and then complain that we need to change something to match the rules because he doesn't like to do his words. I don't like to do things that don't follow the rules exactly. Well, that's a big fat lie. So like, uh, for the most part, I mean, he's a terrible caster in this campaign, but he chose uh, a a caster class, and then he doesn't cast spells. Um, and then most bad guys, it seems, have. Oh, dang it! I was looking for the exit. Have spell slots, and so in the rules, you can't cast basically two full level spells in the same turn. There are ways to do it. Um, it only applies in certain circumstances, but generally, if you're going to cast a spell, you're going to use your action to cast a spell. And so if you go to cast a second spell, it has to be a bonus action spell, and it can't be bigger than a cantrip. And then your other spell can't be bigger than like level 2, I think. And so that's what you can do on your turn is a bonus action, or maybe you cast a cantrip. You cast a cantrip, which is like a level 0 spell. Not that they're terrible, just that they're not as powerful as higher level spells. And then the other spell you can cast has to be able to be cast as a bonus action, and that's only if you cast a cantrip. But most of the time, you can't cast a bonus action and an action spell in the same turn necessarily. I forget exactly how the rules work. Maybe it's just when you cast a bonus action spell. I don't know. There's weird rules. There's a lot of arguments over how it works, and I'd have to look it up to remember how it works because I haven't played a game where that's how you play in a long time. Because he likes to play that you can cast whatever you feel like, as long as one's an action and the other is a bonus action. And then that way he can hit us with like level 7 and 8 spells at the same time, which totally changes the way the game works, as we've talked about. But yeah, talk to me about how you only do things by the rules and then refuse to play with the spells the way they're supposed to be played because you want your bad guys to be able to cast on us multiple times in a round. Oh no, my arm is sprained, and now it's probably broken. It's really hard to fight these guys without my fist wraps. Or any kind of weapon. I guess I could make a club. Although I do have points in fisticuffs here, so... yeah, he did not change hero points in the end. But he was really mad about us using him last night. It didn't help. It didn't help us succeed at all. So I don't know what he was so mad about. And he was just worried that we were going to succeed on a saving throw because we failed. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll use a hero point to re-roll that because that's how we play is re-roll. And then turns around and casts multiple spells in the same turn by the same bad guy. And then acts like... And then says, I only like to do things according to the rules while spreading out damage amongst all the sea hags, which is not in the rules. Also, I was following along last night in the book as we played because I had already looked at what was going on and I knew that there wasn't much left. But I was a little sad because he left out some of the interesting bits that I thought was going to be there. There was supposed to get like pirate ghosts following you around, and they had a little poem that was a clue about where to go to find treasure, and he just skipped all of that. And then so we finish that, we get our treasure, we fight the next thing, Did we finish that other room? I feel like we missed out on something, like a big bad guy, because he doesn't like us to fight. And if we do fight, he wants the surprise round. We did go through like multiple fights where there was a surprise round against us, and uh, which is ridiculous. And oh no, we did fight the two Bulgura, and yeah, I don't know. I was getting pretty irritated. I had an irritating day yesterday. I woke up irritated. I don't know why. I just did. And and I didn't get to record a video yesterday at all because by the time we were finished with everything, it was already 1:30 in the morning. Um, I normally record earlier than that, but things had gone long yesterday with some training I had to do, and then regular work, and then I went upstairs for dinner at dinner time, and I didn't know when dinner was going to be because it was in the oven, and nobody knew. And oh no, my bag is gone again. Holy crap, man! Again? This is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. How am I supposed to keep gear if I can't use? I mean, I can't use gear, right? I mean, that's all there is to it. I'm gonna lose what I loot half the time. That's it, guy. That's it. That's your whole gear there. That's all you get to keep. Ski goggles. We ain't never moving ahead in this game because I can't keep a bag. I guess I'm gonna have to change my gameplay style. I know I'm a bit of what I call the Mega Man, which references the original Mega Man game, and I've said it before, but so in the original Mega Man game, if you ever played a Mega Man game, there's a bunch of bosses at the end of the levels, and they go in a certain order. And so, in the first Mega Man game, uh, like there's not a specific order, but there's like one guy usually, or maybe two guys that are a little easier to take on as your basic Mega Man. And then once you have them dead, it's way easier to fight the other bosses. Right? So like if you get the freeze gun, it's easier to fight the fire guy. And that kind of thing. And so in the very first Mega Man, there's this Captain Cold guy. Captain Freeze. I don't remember what his name is. And you can fight him. You can fight him by standing still and just shooting as fast as you can, because the damage you do to him is slightly more, and I mean like very slightly more, than the damage that he's doing to you. It doesn't look like it because his hits are massive and yours are tiny. But if you're shooting fast enough, then you can take him out without having to dodge his attacks. I tend to play games that way, which is why I die so much, because I'm not careful. I mean, it's a game, right? So I'm not really an Iron Man kind of guy. I'm a Mega Man kind of guy. Zerg it till it's dead. And So yeah, so I'm gonna have to start playing more careful, I guess, since I apparently don't get to keep anything that I have if I die. It's very frustrating. But yeah, so we had leveled up at the end of last week, but he's got a rule in this campaign, and I'm fine with it. That we have to long rest to go up our level. But what he did last week was know how much XP we needed to go up our level, knew how much XP we were going to get for the night, and then asked if we wanted to engage in combat at the end, or asked, he had to know before he ended the night if we were going to attack the sea hags or if we were going to leave. And we're like, we'll probably attack them. And he's like, all right, well, then you're locked in combat. And we're like, what? And he's like, here's your XP for the night. And I'm like, oh, well, that's enough to go up a level. I guess we can level up between. He's like, no, you have to long rest, and now you're locked in combat with those hags, so you can't go long rest before you fight these guys. This is why you are the most annoying DM. So we didn't get to level up until the end of last night, after everything was done. But we're now level 8, and we still have a whole nother section of the floor we're on to go through. Although who knows if we'll get any real XP or not. I would like to make a wooden club. I wonder if I can make my own hand wraps. Really? Oh, they're called knuckle wraps. And I can, if I can get my hands on some iron. Interesting. All right, so we need to find some iron, and then I can make some hand wraps. But that's going to be something for... Oh, do I? Do I have a bag over here? Because I seem to recall it not being here. I also looked on the video for last... Was it last episode when I lost a bag? Or maybe the episode before that? And went back to that location to see, because I died in a different spot slightly than I thought I had died in, and so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just walking past it. I shouldn't have scrapped that. I probably could have just melted it down as is. But no, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. There's no... Oh my. Ugh. I hate those guys. You're the worst. The worst. All right, well, with that, I am going to call it a day. So be better in the small things and lean into the light. And I will talk to you later.